How angry would you be if you went into a public bathroom and there was no toilet paper or you had to pay for it? We provide free period products for women and menstruators across Australia by putting advertising on the product packaging and also on digital dispensers that are going to be found in public and commercial bathrooms. If you choose a free product over a paid product, we would actually be able to donate $4.5 million a year back to charity.
Welcome, Remy. It's very excited to be talking with you today about On the House. But before we get into that, I thought I might ask you to introduce yourself, who you are and how you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Remy Tucker. I'm 25. I'm from Brisbane in Queensland in Australia. And I'm the founder of a social impact profit for purpose business called On the House. We provide free period products for women and menstruators across Australia by, we make the product free by putting advertising on the product packaging and also on digital dispensers that are going to be found in public and commercial bathrooms all across Australia. So very exciting. I was literally born in Brisbane and I still live here. I know. Born and raised, really. And yeah, I mean, well, God, when people say to me, tell me about yourself, I'm like, where do I even start? I'm not too sure. So the reason I got into this was I actually was a midwife first. So that was my first career. I birthed babies. Didn't actually graduate, so I can't call myself like a certified midwife, but I did it for long enough to do all the things. And while I was studying to be a midwife, I worked really closely alongside refugees and young mothers. Some of these mothers were as young as 14. And that was where I heard these stories for the first time about what I now know to be period poverty. It was, when you're with these types of women or in these spaces, they didn't just need medical help, they needed a hand to hold, an ear to listen. And in those spaces, I was hearing these stories from these women saying, I'm having to choose between buying baby formula at the grocery shop or diapers with my own sanitary products. And of course, we all know what they were choosing as a mother. That wasn't a difficult decision for them. But I was absolutely heartbroken. I was like, I couldn't believe that people are having to make those choices. That is so unfair. And yeah, I went and did more research into it and found out that 2 in 3 women in Australia struggle to afford period products, and it only gets worse in certain communities. 83% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, 78% for people with disabilities or chronic conditions, and 83% again for the gender diverse community. So wow. It's a really prevalent issue. And yeah, I didn't know about it until I'd seen this happen, and I did a bit of research into it. I do have a bit of beef with the word period poverty, though. I know my entire business is wrapped around it. It's just that I think that phrase really illustrates that it's only people below the poverty line that experience it. And that's not true. I mean, 2 in 3 of women in Australia aren't below the poverty line. So, we have to call it period poverty because that's what it's known as. But really, it's a lack of access. These products are too expensive, even for the person above the poverty line. So something needed to change. I didn't know it at the time. I was still starting to be a midwife. I ended up not continuing on with midwifery because your girl used to cry a lot. She's very empathetic. And I was like, literally, it was just, I was young. I was 18. I was in these situations that probably an 18-year-old should not be in. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this the rest of my life. And I had a senior midwife come to me and say, if you want to be good at this job, you have to turn that part of yourself off. Right. It's what people call empathy death. But I was like, oh my God, like I do not want to do that. I love that part of myself. I love how empathetic and caring I am for people. So I made the big balls decision to just quit. And that felt like a massive failure at the time. Like I was like, oh God, like I'm giving up on something that I wanted to do, And yeah, I ended up going and working in marketing and advertising. And that was which is funny because people are like, oh, how the hell did you go from healthcare to marketing advertising? But it's what actually made me, who I am today and be able to do this. Yeah. So it actually worked out quite well, even though I didn't know it at the time. And I was seeing hundreds of millions of dollars, which I actually now know to be more than that, but hundreds of millions of dollars spent in advertising every year. And I was like, we can really better utilize that. And so that was where On the House is born, and that was my background of how I got here, pretty much.
Amazing. And so you've been working on this now for what, three years? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think it's coming up on 3.5 years. To be honest, the first year was probably a lot of me just like not working that hard at it because I was a bit scared. Like I was very comfortable in the job that I was in, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to go and start a massive, global startup. That's crazy. So I was just sort of thinking on the idea for about a year and writing a business plan until I actually went and started the thing,
And so what kind of prompted you to be like, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit to it?
God, that is hard. I don't actually know the moment that it was, but I had been thinking about it for so long, and I started to like picture my future as that person, if that makes sense. Like I'd sort of wrapped my identity around the fact, I always say this, and I know it sounds cringe, I really do, but like my whole life I knew I was going to do something to help people. Like that was just in my subconsciously my whole life. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor without borders. Like that was, I really would love to do that. Wasn't smart enough to become a doctor, but anyway. So I had this like innate thing in me. I was like going to help people, and when I was working in this job, I got kind of to the point where I was like, oh, this is just not really fulfilling me, like it's not doing what I thought. I'm not doing what I thought I would be doing. So I just took the leap, and obviously, the leap is not as scary as it sounds, because when you are a founder of a startup, you do have to keep working for yourself on the side anyway. So I was always doing something else on the side. Like I literally still do stuff on the side at the moment because I'm like, you've got to make sure you're earning money. Like you have to support yourself. So, it was never really that scary. I just started taking the action. But I think the one thing I would say, if anyone like is listening that's starting a business or they're becoming a founder, is hiring people. Like that is the biggest part, for me anyway. Gave me accountability. It pushed me to take the leap. I wasn't the only person accountable for my actions and what I was doing. So yeah, I don't know, I just decided, I was like, start. And then just started talking to as many people as possible. Like really, that's the first step. You just start to network, really, don't you? So yeah, that was probably the moment. Yeah.
And did you want to talk a bit about some of like because you're talking about in the video that I found about the money that was being contributed from each period pack?
Yes. So we have a business model. The business model is called a negatively priced product. So what that actually means is not only is the product free, we're actually able to donate 10 cents from every box that people take back to our selected or partnered charities every year. We have a very specific, tie to wanting to support women who are in domestically abusive or violent relationships and who are experiencing homelessness as a result. That was kind of where our name On the House was formed. So I think, it's a very cool business model. And as I was saying in my video, it's only ever been done a couple of times before. And it's naturally very confusing for people in a very capitalist world, which since I found in the comments, everyone was like, what are you talking about? So to better explain it, the way that we actually make money is through our advertisers. So our advertisers pay us to put ads on the boxes and on the digital dispensers. We have leftover. So we dedicate 10 cents from every box that's taken to go back to charity. So there's a gap. That's basically how to explain it. So it's like in terms of scale and impact, oh God, Toshi, I'm not going to remember what I freaking said on that thing, but essentially, oh yeah, I know. If half of Australia's menstruating population took out one of our boxes instead of their usual monthly, going to the grocery shop and getting a product. So if you choose a paid product over choose a free product over a paid product, we would actually be able to donate $4.5 million a year back to charity. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, not only are you helping the business by taking a box, you're also helping other people, in more, in some dire situations that need help. So,
which is such a fantastic incentive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very cool. I mean, I'm blown away all the time. I'm like, oh God, this is really cool. I've got to forget. Yeah.
And so in terms of what you're doing now On the House, is it like pads and tampons? Like what kind of products are you offering or looking to offer?
Yeah, so we're only doing pads at the moment. They're organic and biodegradable. that was obviously very important to me because while I wanted it to be free for people, I also wanted it to be a really good quality product. If people have no option but to choose the product that you're offering, it should be the best on the market. So the reason we're doing pads, when I started doing my business plan, I was obviously researching the entire market and how it would all work, and they're the most used product in the world, which I didn't think. I assumed that it was a tampon, but I wanted to make it the most accessible for the most amount of people. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that a pad can cater to anyone. So a pad can cater, to maybe the younger girl who's not comfortable in using a tampon yet. It can cater to the older person who is having incontinence. Like there's sort of different people that it can touch. So it was really important to me to start with a product that was most used. We will be expanding to tampons hopefully by the end of this year, which is very exciting. But obviously, you have to get TGA approved and all the things to actually do tampons. So it's taken a little bit longer to do that one. Yeah.
Cool. So you are planning to have them in dispensers in the bathroom. So how will that work? Like when someone goes in, like how can they expect to, I guess, access them?
Access them. Yeah, sure. So, well, I'll explain sort of the evolution of the idea to you. So, like my initial thinking, which I can laugh at now, but my initial thinking was we would literally just have boxes sat on the benches in public bathroom, which is hilarious now that I think back to it. But I realized that people would abuse the system, and I think I was so naive in thinking, no, if something's free, people will leave it for as many people as possible. But unfortunately, people do abuse the system and take people's kindness for granted. So we had to work out a way where we could, keep them safe, and that came to be a dispenser. So they're packs of 3 pads in the dispensers that you can get out. The limit is up to 4 per month for each person. The way someone would actually dispense that product is they would approach the machine, scan the QR code on the machine with their phone, pop in their mobile number or their email, which sends a 2-factor verification. That's obviously how we have to keep our database. We have to keep our accounts, if that makes sense, so we can check how many people are using what, and date of birth as well, of course, because we're not allowed to legally advertise, like send EDMs or anything to people below the age of 18. So that's important to collect as well. And then obviously they can consent whether or not they'd like to share their email with the advertisers, or all those normal good things. So that's essentially how they would access it. It communicates with the modem on the dispenser, and it dispenses the product, and then that product is tallied against your name for the month. So that people can't abuse it.
So someone who's under 18 could still access
they can
them,
still access,
even
of course.
Okay.
It's more so that if in the model, if you click, I'd like to share my email to receive discounts, deals and offers from the advertiser, we make sure we don't send that to an under 18 person because it's not legal. Yeah.
And you answered you addressed a really interesting concern on your TikTok. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Someone said, if I saw this, I might be inclined not to take one because I feel like someone else would need it more. So I wondered if for our listeners you could explain how you would respond to that.
Yeah, sure. So to give a bit of context on this video that I was talking about, someone commented and said she wouldn't take one because she wanted to leave it for people who really needed it. And it was interesting because I had that thought before, and I wrote it as one of the risks in our business plan of people may not take them because they think that they should just be left there for people that need them. But that's actually not the case. Our business model actually relies on people taking as a product whenever they want one. It's not only for people who need it. Obviously, what we are selling to our advertisers is the amount of people that look at the screens, and it's the amount of people that take the boxes and interact with the QR codes and things. So we are excited to think that, people who just want one and don't need one can actually take a box, because that means the more people interacting, the more advertisers go, oh, what great results. We want to keep advertising with you. And then it's an ecosystem, because what our business relies on is advertising to make period products free. So if they're not getting good results, then, that's not sustainable for the advertisers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys are near a dispenser, take a product, please. Yeah.
And how have brands been responding to this? Like, are people really keen to get involved and have their advertising on the boxes? Yeah, sure.
There's kind of, I guess, two ways to answer this, because I was actually just talking to someone on a Zoom before I jumped on about this. I did expect it to be less people to be less excited by it. I know it sounds crazy, but like I did think that it would be a bit harder to get people so keen about the idea. Being big corporations and things, you know, they're very set in their ways of the way that they run their marketing budgets and the way they run their advertising. We've had some amazing big brands come to us and they were so excited to partner, and so it's going really well. Obviously it's going to take off more once we announce the first person that we're working with, and all those things sort of happen, and the ripple effects that will come from that. But I think on the other hand of it, I did also think that it would be easier, and I know that sounds crazy because they're both completely two different things, but it's building relationships with big companies. Obviously you have to get in front of the decision maker, so the actual sales process of like you know, getting in contact with the people in the first place proved quite hard at the start. I was like, wow, this is way harder than I thought it is. So while it's hard to get in contact with them, once you do, they're usually very keen. So
Hi, we wanted to quickly ask you if you could please subscribe to Sex and Space. Every click of that button helps us to keep doing the work that we do and bring you more great podcast episodes like this one. Don't just listen, commit, subscribe, and stay in our orbit. And are there certain brands that like you're more keen to have like on the box, or are you kind of just happy for anyone who wants to get involved to be a part of it? Like, how's your selection process?
Yeah, so we very much want to align with only ethical businesses. It's not cutting anyone out necessarily. Like, it's not like, you know, it's within our brand guidelines that we are aligning with purpose-driven companies. We're aligning with female healthcare, wellness, you know, all those beautiful things. I think it's important as who we are and what we're trying to do as well to be, you know, only aligning with people that we align with. And I do also think that they naturally weed themselves out anyway. I know it sounds silly, but like there's probably brands that would never work with us. And that that pretty much says, you know, all that needs to be said. You know what I mean? So I think naturally there's a good sort of siphon happening anyway. So that's not something that you need to implement yourself. It kind of like natural like filter.
Exactly. And so, what have you found to be like some of the biggest challenges that you've faced to date in terms of and getting this off the ground?
A few, probably. Obviously funding is always very hard in a startup journey, making sure that you've got the correct cash flow and the right business partners and, you know, things like that to be funding the startup. Obviously in the startup phases, you're not making any money yet, so you have to get the money from somewhere. So that's probably been a challenge. I think the challenge for me is just, I'm having to learn. Oh, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but I'm having to learn everything while I'm doing it. You know, I've never started a period product and advertising company ever in my life. So everything I'm doing, I am learning at the same time. Nothing has, touch wood, nothing's bad has happened yet. So it seems to be going really well. But I do think, it's just, you know, it's naturally tough being a founder when you have to wear so many hats, and it can sometimes get really overwhelming of how much work you have to do. Like my to-do list is never ending. But you know, it's fun. It is really fun. It's just a challenge because you adapt. You have to, you know, go from, all right, I'm working a 9 to 5, or I'm working, you know, 5 hours a week as a freelancer, to then, okay, now I'm the most busy human I've ever met in my life. But it's fantastic. I do really enjoy it, and I get so much joy out of working. Like I get like a dopamine release, you know, from every email I get, and it's a natural high. Building something from the ground up is so fulfilling, especially when it's going to help so many people. So I can say that there's challenges and hiccups, but really none of them mean much to me. Like, I think if you're determined to do something and you see a future where your business is, you know, at the forefront and it's changing, it's actually disrupting a market, and you've got your eyes set on that, nothing really feels like a challenge. Obviously there's a day here and there where you're like, oh my God, not another thing. But in the scheme of things, it's fine. I
mean, it must be when you can see, I mean, how much good it's going to do. I guess it's kind of like that thread that's just pulling you through, seeing like how much of an impact it will have.
Exactly. And I know, like, you know, this isn't just something that I'm doing for me. It's not like I'm building a company that's like, you know, I guess, I don't know, a product-based company or something that it's just there to make profits, right? This is something that is actually going to change the lives of millions of people. And look, that is also a bit of a caveat of something that puts pressure on me. Like I'm like,
Mm.
holy shit, like this is my entire responsibility. But like,
Yeah.
it's that thread. You're right. It's what gets me up every morning. If I can't be
Mm.
bothered, I'm like, well, you snap out of
Ugh.
that, girl, because you got millions of people relying on you.
Yeah, everyone's waiting for this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, are there other dispensers available yet, or are they coming into
No,
Australia soon?
no, not yet. Yeah, so we are launching in July of this year. So
Cool.
God, that's coming up really quick. Our sort of like activation launch will be in June, where we're sort of rolling around, giving out products, doing events, things like that. But the actual dispensers are going to launch in situ in July, which is very, very
Cool.
exciting. We've got all our venues locked in, so stay tuned for that
Amazing.
once we announce that. Very exciting.
Cool. And so that'll be across all of Australia?
No, so we're just launching into Brisbane first.
Okay.
Yeah, the way unfortunately a startup has to work is you have to run a pilot, like a trial program, to make sure that everything's working perfectly. I mean, my worst nightmare is that, you know, let's say there was something went wrong and it was across the country. It's much harder to keep, you know, all the things happening perfectly if you very quickly expand. So we wanted to test everything, get a really tight feedback loop, run you know, surveys with everyone, run focus groups, make sure everything is perfect before we go out and you know, put them all across Australia. So
Yeah.
sort of, you know, in terms of a timeline, launch in July, and then that goes for 3 months, and then we very quickly roll out to the rest of Australia after that with,
Cool.
you know, however many dispensers then, which is very exciting. Yeah.
And then global after that?
Global, that is right. I'm aiming for global 2027.
Cool.
UK, Europe, and Canada is the plan.
Amazing. And in terms of like, what are some of the biggest wins that you've had so far in
Oh,
this journey?
going to Parliament House was pretty cool. That was a
Yep.
big win.
Awesome.
That was pretty cool just because I didn't think I'd be there so early, if that makes sense. Like I didn't think I'd be able to crack the government quite yet, but it's very exciting. So that was very cool. Biggest wins has been locking in our first big sponsor. Sorry, I can't share who that is yet, but that's
okay.
very exciting.
Will be released at some
yeah.
point. Check
Yeah,
back.
very soon, very soon. Having a lot of news outlets approach me in the last couple of weeks has been very cool because, you know, before then I was doing the outreaching and now people are coming to me, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
I don't know, you know, like there's something cool happens every single day and they're so tiny that it's like not worth mentioning, but like seriously every day I'm just like, this is so cool. Like someone contacts me, or like I had Sydney Zoo reach out to me today. I was like, can we get a dispenser? I was like, that's so cool.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
yeah, just like little tiny things like that. So yeah, I think it's just going from like, you know, feeling like it's not happening to happening really quickly. It's been so exciting. I'm like, oh my God, this is legitimately a thing. I've been, you know, doing it for 3.5 years and now it's actually happening. It's very cool. Yeah.
I guess it's that slow. I mean, people might perceive like an overnight success, but you know, there's been so much work that's gone into it beforehand, and now it's kind of really picking up. And
yeah,
you know.
that's right. And I think people are perceiving it as overnight happening because I only started talking about it on social media recently. Like obviously I had to be very careful with what I was talking about prior to that, and I only started posting on my TikTok like 2.5 months ago, and it's blown up so quickly. So yeah, well, I'm glad I didn't do it any earlier because I thought it was going to take me so much longer, and then everyone would have known about that, would have had to wait a year, which would have been
It's cool that you can keep building on the momentum that you've had from that, and
That's
it kind of
right.
coincides with when you'll be releasing products
That's
in
right.
Brisbane.
Yeah, exactly.
And for our listeners, what can they do to help support this work that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, people always ask me that, and I really should have a good answer to this because I should have like an actionable step. I would say spreading the word is like the most important thing. The more people that talk about this to other people, the more network we're able to build, right? So having brands be able to reach out to us and venues who would like a dispenser be able to reach out to us, or simply just spreading the word about the fact that this is now an option, you know? Like what we're doing is we're changing the way that people access period products. So it's not going to be the traditional pick it up at the closest retail store that you're at. It's going to be doing it in a space that you're already in, be it your gym, office, you know, train station, wherever it is. So being able to reroute that kind of, I'm saying consumer behavior, but human behavior of how we go about getting our products. It's important that we are, all talking about it. And I think naturally the idea does have you know, this kind of wow factor to it because it hasn't been done before, and that very much helps our marketing in a sense. But yeah, like if someone wants to do something, reach out to me. I can, you know, refer me on. I can, you know, chat to whoever and network that way, because really, like, we are all so interconnected. It is actually crazy. Like, someone across the world is literally 3 degrees of separation. So like, we could literally get Elon Musk on board if we all wanted, you know. Not that I'd want him, not that I'd really want him on board, but yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's because menstrual products is one of those things that so many people need. Like, it's not a choice.
That's right.
Whether your your body, you know, requires those products. Like, your body is going to menstruate, and
exactly.
So it's such essential products.
Okay, so I've got 2 points on this. Like, if we're going to delve deeper into this, the first one is probably how angry would you be if you went into a public bathroom and there was no toilet paper? Like, or you had to pay for it. Or it wasn't in there and you had to ask someone else. Yeah, or you were expected to bring it and you had to ask someone in the next store, hey, can I have some toilet paper?
Yeah.
So, like, that for starts, period products should be treated exactly the same as that.
Yeah.
2 is, like, if we're going to delve a bit more into, like, period poverty as a whole, you know, talking about something that we can't control. Period poverty and its effects. So it affects 2 main groups of people. So it affects the person of school age, and it affects the person of working age. So for people of school age, what, you know, not having access to period products does is it creates an anxiety. So it creates an anxiety that you're going to bleed through, that you aren't going to have enough product to get you through the day. And that means girls and women are skipping work. Skipping school or leaving school altogether, which then leads to lack of opportunity. They don't go to university if that's an option for them, you know, and actually, as a wider ripple effect, with girls who miss school or leave school altogether are at higher risk of early marriage, early pregnancy, and repeated cycles of poverty. For the person of working age, what that leads to is missed work or threatened job security, leads to loss of income. So, like, all of this stuff put together, what this is something that you didn't choose to happen to you.
Yeah.
It is now creating, you're now unequal to your male counterpart because of something you literally cannot control.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a massive problem. Like, it's so invisible because there's this shame and this taboo wrapped around periods. Women are less likely to speak up if they are going through something about this. Like, you know, that 2 in 3 statistic that I was talking about earlier, like, that is insane. That is 2 in 3 of your friends that have struggled to afford period products, that have had to make a choice at a grocery shop and go, actually, I can't afford that. You know, on this topic, so two nights ago, my auntie came over and she was telling me about at Woolworths how many people she's had to watch actually not be able to afford their grocery shop, and they always put back their period products because it's always a mother. And she always goes, you know what, I don't need that. We need milk instead.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. And it speaks to that, you know, emotional labor that women have in a relationship of, you know, they're choosing everyone else over themselves constantly. Which is a whole nother thing, and I won't get into that right now. But yeah, I mean, like, it is a massive issue, and we can't freaking control it. Like, it's so annoying.
It's not like we can be like, oh, it's not convenient this month. Like, you know, let's just put a stop to that. It just doesn't work that way.
Yep, exactly. It's terrible. Yeah, so terrible.
Yeah. Is there anything I haven't touched on that you wanted to address relating to On the House or the work that you're doing? Or
no, just that it will change. You know, we're always talking about the problem, but that is what On the House is here for. You know, like, as much as I want to raise awareness for how much of a problem this is, like, there is hope. I think a lot of, like, media and conversation is always based around, you know, what's wrong with the world, and sometimes we're not talking about that there is a future that we can actually create together. So all I would say on the House is, if everyone comes together and joins as a force, like, we will be a force to be reckoned with. All the good things in the world have happened from a lot of people coming together to create change. So yeah, that's all I would say.
And I think it's really great that, I mean, people can, like, once these dispensers are out and people can access them, like, people can support what you're doing by
Yeah,
taking a
by taking
free
one.
dairy
Yeah,
product. I
yeah,
think that's so awesome.
exactly. Yeah. It is cool.
And out of curiosity, the other, like, businesses that have used this model before,
Yeah.
what products were they
So
creating?
free water. Did you ever hear of free water?
Okay. No,
No.
I
Okay,
didn't.
so he was the first. I think he was the first. Josh, his name is. He was the first person to do the negatively priced product model,
Okay.
and the advertising for good model. So making something free by putting advertising on the packaging.
Okay.
He made bottles and cans of water free by putting ads on the outside.
Okay.
Great guy. I've had FaceTime. We message all the time. We had a good FaceTime when he first found me on TikTok. Very cool. And he's got some really very smart thinking about the way that whole business could operate and actually a future of the world, potentially becoming free, which is very cool. I won't talk too much about it because it's his amazing brain power that did it, not mine. But yeah, free water. So yeah, you guys can look them up on TikTok. They did a bunch of street interviews. You probably know them by handing out free water and then people going, what? How did you make this free? And then, that's the whole video. People are just shocked at the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely inspired, I guess, my business model in itself as well of, well, okay, what else can we make free? And I know because I've worked now in a space where I know what needs to be free. So yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, that was something else I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues about, as we were like, this is such a good idea. Like, there's probably so many other things that you could also make free using the same business model.
100%. Yeah, it could. And that's sort of in Josh's, he's got it in his TikTok bio. It's like his first, the first product to, free water is the first product of our free grocery stores. So it's interesting how big it could get. I mean, I sort of definitely have a little bit of hesitation to the fact that, well, if everything becomes free, then no one's going to need to advertise anything. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I mean, look, to some extent, there are definitely products, and I think it's important to be, doing the product that needs to be free. It's not just like, oh, we have this now for free. It's like it actually needs to be free to help people who cannot go without. So,
where can we fill that gap that's really needed amongst
that's
people?
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Well, there's lots to watch out for.
There is.
It's so exciting.
Very exciting, yeah.
Well, unless there's anything else to add, that you wanted to add at all, Remy?
All good on that.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining and talking about your work on the house.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, I'll put in the description of the episode all the links so you can find and support On the House and talk to your friends about it.
Amazing. Thank you, Joshua, and thank you everyone listening. I appreciate everyone's support a lot.